I don't know, Sally, did that cover what you were looking for?
I think so.
Okay. It's a fuzzy word. I don't like the fuzzy language so much, but it's there, and it's used that way. Gloria.
Hi, Gloria Wiley, she, her. My question is about the reassignment surgery, Michelle.
Mm-hmm.
And I expect that it's very radical, precise surgery. And I would like to know now, are there specialists in that field that are being trained in the medical schools?
Oh, yes, yes. The reassignment surgeries are special, very carefully done things. Usually for a person born female who's moving toward male, if they decide to get reassignment surgery, many people do not, by the way, reassignment surgery is not necessary to either be transgender or to live a life, a nice, healthy, happy life. That's a very individual decision. If a person feels they need it, if an individual feels it's needed, and their therapists and doctors concur, then they can proceed to try and get reassignment surgery. But it's expensive. It's difficult. It has long recovery times. It happens in many stages. A person doesn't just stroll into a hospital looking one way and stroll out that evening looking another way. It is a long way from instant. The typical female to male surgical sequence, depending on just what they need done, can be anywhere from 2 to 5 operations over the course of years. A typical female to male procedure, if everything is perfect, is usually done in 2 stages around, male to female, yes. It's usually done in 2 stages. Yeah, pardon me. I'm getting tongue-tied up here. Half past my lunchtime. The typical male to female surgery is done in 2 stages, usually separated by at least 6 months. There are a few specialists overseas who will attempt a single stage male to female surgery that has sometimes a poorer success rate in terms of the final aesthetics. But there are a couple of doctors who are very, very good at it. So single stage actually is possible on that one specific surgery. The entire transition process from presenting in one's assigned at birth gender to feeling that one is finished, again, that's a very individual thing. It may or may not involve surgeries, because as I said, not everyone may feel they need the surgeries. It may or may not involve things like voice therapy. It may or may not involve things like hormone replacement therapy. There are lots of parts to this. So it's a very individual thing, a very personal set of decisions that have to be made. It is not something that gets done on a whim. Before a person, for instance, through the medical practices I attend, can receive the gender confirmation surgery, the actual changes in what's down there, they have to convince a therapist, a doctor of psychology, a general practitioner normally, an endocrinologist, a surgeon, and a board of 3 surgeons, a social worker. Did I miss anyone? It's a good-sized room full of people you have to deal with. Well, that's to convince the courts. That's a whole other process I can talk about someday. So yeah, so I have convinced a therapist, a doctor of psychology, a general practitioner, a surgeon, a surgical board, a social worker, and a judge that I am in fact a female person. How many of you have had to prove that about yourselves? It's kind of rare. Not a lot of us.
I just want to thank Michelle. Is there any other questions? We are at the hour, and we said it would be an hour. We can have maybe one more question.
Yeah, we're a little over here. Ryan?
Michelle needs lunch.
I have to get my salad. Come on.
As I sit here crocheting, I was hoping you could expand a little on gender roles. For example, If I do crochet on the bus, I am about 2,000 times more likely to get misgendered.
Yeah, that's because crocheting, I'm afraid, is considered a feminine art in our goofy culture. It's not considered a masculine art. On the other hand, I've been known to wrench on cars. What's that make me? I restore old radios as a hobby. Not nice wood cabinet ones either, big steel things, shortwave transmitters. So yeah, that's slipping off of the gender role. The gender roles are pretty much socially determined by a particular culture as to what we're going to do, what we have to do, what things are acceptable and are not acceptable. Just as a man wearing a skirt is not acceptable in our culture,
except for kilts.
Yeah, kilts are different. You know,
Mark wears kilts.
I know. They're supposed to be considered different and special, although even there you'll see pushback from some people, which is hilarious. Pardon me, I shouldn't laugh at that, but I do. Yeah. It's just people are goofy that way in how they interpret all these little cues that we provide them. If we give them a wrong cue, we're going to get misgendered. It's all the cues that add together. Yeah, was there anything else there? Okay.
Thank you so much to everyone who came, and thank you, Michelle, on behalf of LGBTQ and Friends, Social Justice Committee. You did an excellent job, and we're going to have a lot more coming with educational programs, so stay tuned.
Will this be available down on the internet?
We are recording it, so Sue, or Carol Sue, can you tell us a little bit about when this might be available?
I'll try to make it available today on
Ooh.
the Public channel.
Thank you so much, Carol Sue. I really appreciate this. And thank you, everyone, for coming out. Wonderful questions and participation. I very much appreciate that. Now let's go get lunch.